Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Because Patrick Mahomes took out his own wide receiver. Right? Took out his own wide receiver. Well, you got to give the guy a lot of – threw an interception. What did he do? He ran over there and he tried to make the tackle. Got to give the guy props, right? Best player, top 2 player, whatever, in all of NFL. He's going to have more jewelry on his hands than maybe Brady by the time he's done. Maybe, who knows? But he's over there trying to make a tackle. Got to give the man a lot of props. The thing is that, unfortunately, he took out his wide receiver. So, of course, once that happens, you start seeing all these things. Now, of course, the question is, who's it going to be? Possibly, who's it going to be? Would it be Slayton? Or would it be Hyatt? Ooh. Tough question. Slayton, is a good chance, because if we're keeping Hyatt, we got Wan'Dale, we got Malik Nabers. Chances are Slayton's not going to be back after the season. So would you want to try to move him and get something in return for him? Or just lose him in free agency? Because, what are you going to, if he can get whatever, $10 million someplace else, you think the Giants are going to go out there and offer him $10 million? I don't see that. I don't see that happening. So do you think that they could trade him and get something back in return for him? It'd be a later on pick. He's not getting a second or third round for him, but it'd be a third day pick, 5th round, maybe 6th rounder, maybe. Or, right, would you try to move Hyatt because you're not really using him? Slayton's got a connection with Daniel Jones. Slayton's very familiar with obviously he's very familiar with the offense and all and everything. But, if he's on the field and Hyatt's on the sideline, why would you want to trade Slayton and keep Hyatt if you can't get Hyatt on the field? So I've seen them both. The Giants-Chiefs trade for Darius Slayton would solve issues for both teams. I also saw, will the Giants trade Darius Slayton or Jalen Hyatt to the Chiefs? Would it even make sense? Well, it would make sense, because they lost, let's say, they lost Marquise Brown in August. Then they lost, of course, Pacheco to a fractured fibula in week 2. Then Rashee Rice suffered a significant knee injury that's feared to be a torn ACL, obviously, this past weekend. So, and one thing we have seen, right? Now, what we have seen is with Patrick Mahomes is, he can be human, right? We haven't seen that yet with the lack of weapons, although I'm sure if you put 5 of me out there running routes, I'm sure he'd be in some trouble. But we have seen him being human with the lack of pass protection because I can't remember. I'm an idiot. Whatever Super Bowl that was. I can rattle off the first 40 Super Bowls, but these last few ones, I'm an idiot. Whatever the one they played the Bucks, right? And they were missing a couple offensive linemen. Every time he took the ball, he's running back, he's running for his life. They kicked 3 field goals, couldn't score a touchdown. So he can be human, right, with lack of pass protection. I really haven't seen that yet so much with lack of weapons, but he's starting to run a little low, right? So, it would behoove, the Chiefs to pick the phone up and call, or I don't know, the Giants pick up the phone and call them. Who knows? The Chiefs were dumb enough to take Kadarius Toney from us, but they might be interested in somebody else, especially somebody who has a smarter head on their shoulders, right? You got to give Darius a lot of credit. 4 out of 5 years, he led the Giants in receiving. 4 of those 5 years, I mean, with usually a bad offensive line, not very good offense. We don't have Patrick Mahomes throwing the football. He getting over 700 yards receiving almost year in and year out on a bad offense. Got to give the guy some credit there. So, as you may be aware, the Chiefs' offense has been ravaged by injuries. In short, while the Chiefs still have Patrick Mahomes, they're down their wide receiver number 1, wide receiver number 2, as well as running back number 1. Speculation has abounded since Rice was helped off the field as to how the Chiefs could replenish their depleted skill positions. As it happens, 2 giant receivers' names have been dropped. Interesting. Brandon London and Dan Dugan have speculated that the Chiefs could call the Giants regarding veteran receiver Darius Slayton. Another trade of a Giants wide receiver to Kansas City would make a lot of sense. Darius Slayton would be their wide receiver number 1 immediately. Man, he's got to be foaming at the mouth on that one. Man, if Darius Slayton's running around on the field, Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback, Andy Reid calling plays and stuff like that, and he might be wide receiver number 1 on the Chiefs. Whoo, baby. Man, that would be a dream. That might be a dream come true for Darius Slayton. Let's see. So what are the odds, and would trading either make sense for the teams? For the Chiefs' perspective, it definitely makes sense. They want to figure out a high-speed offense that reintroduced the big play with Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, combining to stress defenses. Slayton or Hyatt would add that speed element back into their offense. Amari Cooper and Cooper Kupp are better receivers. I don't know if they're going to be giving those up. Are they actually thinking that Amari Cooper, names I just mentioned, who are at least worth calling on if you're Brett Veach? Amari Cooper, Jalen Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen. I don't know. Yeah. Rams are going to give up the Cupmeister. I don't know about that. Let's see. The Giants absolutely should be pursuing opportunities to add draft capital. They're already down their 5th-round pick and need to think hard about the opportunity to add young talent if Slayton or Hyatt aren't in their long-term plans. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a little head scratcher. It's like, well, where's Jalen Hyatt at? Why is he only getting like 15 snaps? What the is going on? I mean, as I said, you really kind of doubt that Slayton's going to be back next season. I mean, we signed a 2-year deal for whatever it was, $12.5 million it was. This is his 2nd season, his last season. Each year he keeps producing over 700 yards for a horrible offense. I mean, he wants to, gets a little bit of a payday, and there's, can't say he's going to make 15 or 20 million someplace, but I can certainly see where next season he would wind up trying to make more than 6 million. And I have a hard time believing the Giants would try to bring him back. They might be able to get somebody in the draft. Because, the Giants have other holes that they need to be filled. But it's like, all right, well, if where the hell is Hyatt at? So we're going to lose Slate, and then we're just going to slide Hyatt in next year, and everything's going to be hunky-dory? Where's that guy at? Where? So, unfortunately, there's things like that. You can talk to Dable about it, but he's never going to give you a straight answer on it. But it is kind of a little bit of a head scratcher. Where the heck is he? Slayton is the Giants' longest tenured receiver, right? And not only has a good rapport with quarterback Daniel Jones on the field, but has been his fiercest advocate off the field. Yes, he has. Absolutely. Shipping Slayton away could send a bad message to the locker room. Slayton is also the better receiving option between him and Hyatt at the moment and dominates the snap share between the two. Hyatt, on the other hand, was drafted just last season, and the Giants traded up to get the guy, right? Or is it to traded up our 3rd and a 5th round pick to get the guy? And then all of a sudden, we're not going to use him anymore. And he's barely been on the field this season. Moving Slayton will allow the Giants to get Hyatt on the field and give him the reps he needs to further his development. However, if he gets those chances with the Chiefs and realizes the potential that had people talking about him as a potential first-round pick, it could be a PR disaster for the Giants. Absolutely. You ain't kidding. I mean, the Giants draft a guy in 2023. They move up in the draft to get him. The next year, it's like with Kadarius Toney. The next year, they draft the next year, they get rid of him. And, they ship him off to Kansas City. I mean, same thing with Hyatt. Could you imagine? They trade up to get him. The second year, you can have him the Chiefs, and he goes and has a really good season. Right? And the thing is with him, is that what would make him so appealing, like for the Chiefs, is that, he's on his rookie deal. It's 4 years. This is the second season. I mean, I don't know. He's making $800,000-900,000 a year, third round pick. The thing is with Slayton, if you want to re-sign him next year, it's going to cost you millions. If you get Hyatt, it's I thought he's $800,000-900,000 this year. Well, the next 2 seasons it's going to be the same thing, right? So you're going to have a guy with a rocket up his rear end, right? It can take the top off the defense, right? And he's only going to cost you $800,000-900,000, right? So. And we got General Manager Joe Shane has already taken plenty of hits on the chin from fans this year. Yeah, he's already taken balls to the chin, that's for sure. If Hyatt goes elsewhere and becomes a player while the Giants' offense continues to languish, the media firestorm would only intensify. And while John Mara can deal with entertaining mediocrity, he hates to be embarrassed. To be clear, we aren't aware of any active conversations between the Chiefs and Giants. However, it's worth at least discussing. Well, I mean, it's certainly something worth to kind of think about. Now, you kind of also wonder, right? Would they do something with Slayton? What they did with Leo the Lion, right? And had it kind of went up to Leo, and it's kind of, we got an offer from the Seahawks, right? You want to go out there, you make the playoffs, right? Or you got a chance to make the playoffs. They're doing better than we are, right? We get something in return. What do you think? You want to do it? Or, so at least they offered it. So kind of wonder if they would do the same thing with Slayton too, because he's a long tenured Giant here, So kind of interesting that they would at least ask him before they dealt them. So we'll have to wait and see.